All right, we good to go, right?
Hold on. Hold on. We are now.
Well, foodies, welcome to the next episode of the BDSM podcast, Booze, Desserts, Smoking Meats. I am Professor Porkloin, and I'm here with my co-host.
The Meat Viking.
All right, and we are traveling along. I think we're finally out of the Midwest now, and we're getting into the eastern side of the states again, because we were going to talk about Kentucky, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Kentucky's a cool state. I've been there a few times. Definitely been to Louisville, Lexington, through Bowling Green there. So definitely have been there, enough to kind of talk a little bit about some of the things. So what about you? You been to Kentucky before?
On and off. Um, Not usually in passing through. We've gone to Cincinnati a couple of times, and that's pretty much right on the state line of Kentucky, and we've kind of hopped across.
Yeah, I was gonna say you just gotta freaking go across the bridge.
Yeah, no, like we've hopped across a time or two, but not any time in the most recent years.
Yeah. Well,
So
I heard you cracked something open, man. So what did you got in the can?
so couple episodes back, we talked about a little something called the Goliath Brewing Company. And I had mentioned that you have a T Rex on your can. And so I will be looking for a T Rex can. And I found one of the Pseudo Sue Pale Ales.
Okay.
And it's pretty damn good. It's a single hop pale ale. It showcases the citra hop for a well balanced beer, delicate in body with mild bitterness in the finish. Ferocious hop aromas of citrus and mango give a refreshing taste that is bright with just enough bite. And when I opened this beer, because I've had three or four throughout the times now, that's the first thing I noticed. It was like, holy citrus, and it's actually not bad for a IPA and a hoppy beer, which I tend to stay away from.
Yeah.
I would say this is a respectable IPA.
Hmm. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've got one from ETX
Well,
Brewing Company.
hold on, I'm not finished.
Oh shit. Okay.
They come in pints.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're pint sized.
So what is it? A 4 pack?
Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah, anybody who's watched Lord of the Rings knows the importance of they come in pints.
Well, dope, man. Well, I have this one from ETX Brewing Company, and it's called a Berry Sourus Rex.
Oh, this was completely unplanned. We both have T Rex beers.
Yeah. So, but mine is a sour, and it's actually not too bad. I mean, I've started to get into sours recently, and for a while there, I hated them. I just didn't like the flavor, but I'm kind of leaning towards them again, and this one's got a nice little berry flavor to it.
That kind of surprises me. Because as somebody who enjoys mead, sours almost felt like a very natural mix for me. But you're telling me it took you a while to get into them, and you brew mead.
Yeah, but mead is different.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't have the tangy that sours do because sours are typically made with fruit,
True.
and they just let them basically ferment in whatever air is out there. Whereas mead is honey, and yes, you could put fruit in it, and it could be a little tart, but the honey's gonna balance that out. So
Yeah.
the sours for me, I think my other thing is that I had when I first started drinking them, I had like the real sour beer, the stuff
Mm,
that's legit. Oh my god, I feel like I have some vinegar or something in my mouth.
right.
So they've kind of mellowed out over the last couple of years to where it's not super sour. So this one isn't like that, but it's not too bad though.
Well, that's good to hear. Ah, so
So
I think we need to come up with a safe word for tonight's episode. And while this, to my knowledge at least, doesn't pertain to Kentucky at all, I have a feeling it has to be T-Rex.
Yeah, we can do T-Rex.
So,
That's funny.
yeah.
Well, Kentucky, man. So you know why it's called the bluegrass state?
Is that where bluegrass music came from?
And no, there's actually a some special grass that's basically grown throughout the whole entire state, and it's found in a lot of pastures. So naturally, because they do a lot of horses there, it's actually a good thing for the horses. So
You know, I'm pretty sure I bought some of that grass in high school.
is that what you called it?
No, but you can't leave an opening like that and expect me not to make a joke.
For sure. So, but huge thoroughbred stuff. Uh, like last time I was there, I actually went to Keeneland, which is one of their racetracks. It's in Lexington.
Hmm.
And dude, you want to talk about money?
Oh yeah.
Um, Huge money to the point where if you look in the grandstands, they actually have boxes of people who are just using those boxes with their names on it and everything.
Wow.
And that's just one part of it. And you know what? It's funny how there's not that many races going through. Still stupid rich. There's tons of stalls. Like, what did I learn? That apparently one of the prince of one of those Middle Eastern countries, he has his own jet that comes into the local airport just so that he can drive himself to this place so he can buy horses. Like his North American operation is out of Kentucky.
Oh wow.
And so like apparently there's a shit ton of money involved in just the horses. So
Well, like so something I kind of know about horses is some horses you can actually lease them like a car. Like I knew horses were expensive because growing up in, you know, a village in a farm town, we knew a couple people that like had horses and stuff, but we never really talked to them about money. And yeah, apparently you can lease horses. So that's something that you can do. But I have another question. While you were in Kentucky and you were at this racetrack, you got to tell me, did you at least wear an ostentatious hat?
no, I didn't.
Dude, that's like the thing that I associate Kentucky Derby with. It goes money, gigantic hats, whiskeys, and then horse racing.
Yeah. They didn't have any races going on at that time. I
Hmm.
went to another racetrack that's about 10 minutes down the road, and I bet on some horses there and actually had the full experience. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. There are still people with big ass hats there.
Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I ever had like fuck you money like some of those people do, I would buy a hat for three people. We would have to walk together.
But one of the things that I did realize that's part of the whole entire betting experience is this stuff called burgoo, and it's essentially just a stew made from whatever's available.
Hmm.
So they sell this at the tracks though, which is really cool because a lot of the times it's just multiple meats, vegetables, spices, and again it's whatever to the cook wants it. So they do this at Churchill Downs, they do it at Keeneland, they do it at other derby places because it's one of the biggest things for some of those races.
Hmm.
Um, I definitely didn't get a chance to try it, but I did see it on the menu. Again, because it was closed. The Keeneland was closed when I was there. It was just open for tours, and the other place was uh, not the best one to take a look at. So it
Right.
was basically you're buying beer and that's it.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've talked about some of the stews before, right? We've talked about how it's basically considered a stew as long as it's a soup,
Hmm.
right? And you just keep on throwing shit in there.
Yep. Yep.
So
We've mentioned that.
yeah,
Um, I don't know how I feel about Virgo though, because like that's a lot of possibility in like a Kentucky stew.
Hell yeah, man. You could probably throw some pheasant in there. You could
Yeah,
probably
like
like throw some dead horse in there too.
dude, like Dead Horse, Roadkill, like Uncle Pappy's Moonshine. You got Cousin Eddie's Tobacco Spit for extra flavor. Like you never know what's gonna be in that thing.
That's yeah.
So I think I might just stick to like a chicken noodle, but
Yeah.
uh,
That's funny. Well, do you have any foods that you happen to
oh man, I got foods. I got foods for days. I got foods for years. Okay, but we're gonna start off with a little bit of an appetizer. All right,
Okay.
and cat. Sorry, I'm getting ready to talk about cheese, and of course, cheese thought I was getting ready to talk about her. So if you are a fan of beer and cheese, this might be for you. This is known as a Kentucky beer cheese spread. You simple, simple to make. It takes 1 cup of beer, 1 pound of extra sharp cheddar cheese shredded, 2 cloves of garlic minced, 1 teaspoon of dry mustard powder, half a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, half teaspoon of cayenne pepper, quarter teaspoon of salt, quarter teaspoon of hot pepper sauce. They recommend using Tabasco. I'd probably go for like Frank's Red Hot
Yeah.
or Cholula. Um, quarter teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, and then a pinch of cayenne pepper to taste. So super easy to make. It's a popular cheese dip spread in Kentucky. You can usually get this at most bars actually as an appetizer. See if I can find some history here. Nearly every brewery and brew pub around Louisville will have this iteration of mouth-watering appetizer. Most traditionally, it's a just the common recipe that I've told you, and I believe there was a segment of history. There's actually a debate going on whether to serve this cold or hot.
Okay.
Um, and it's kind of going to depend on locally where you're at, but apparently a lot of the Kentuckians have a strong opinion about the temperature of their beer cheese. Um, but the big stress point here is that it's not nacho cheese. It's completely different from like a nacho cheese. And this was invented in Winchester, Kentucky.
Okay.
That iteration is commonly served cold, um, whereas it looks like Louisville is where they started to serve it hot. So yeah, you can find it at
Interesting.
restaurants such as 8020, um, Eiderdown, and Shenanigans Irish Grill also have the hot beer cheese. Um, but yeah, it it looks good. They do recommend when you make this that you never use a porter beer in your cheese, as they're too heavy and they clash with the cheese flavors. The most common one to beer to use is a light IPA. So
Okay.
yeah. Um, Other ones that are, I guess, passable are pilsners and some looks like people tend to go for the pale ales because it brings out a smokier taste with the seasonings in the cheese. So for those of you who want to make it, remember, don't use a porter. Um, go for something lighter. Yeah.
Well, I feel like uh that would be interesting to dip a bunch of different stuff in, you know?
Mm-hmm. So apparently, speaking of that, one of the popular ones is pretzels to dip your beer cheese in.
Well, yeah.
Um, but chips and French fries also tend to be extremely popular. The chip that it looks like they're going with here is like a mesquite barbecue chip to add some more of
Ooh,
that smokiness out of there.
that
And
sounds
then
good.
just French fries because you know what? Sometimes it's better than dipping your French fries in ketchup. So,
Yes, it is. It's
yeah.
always good to dip it in cheese.
And it looks like Most historians believe that the beer cheese originated in bars in the 19th century from bartenders and bar owners not wanting to waste flat beer, so they would add it to the cheese.
I mean, that's not a bad idea.
Right?
I can see how that limits waste.
Oh yeah. So especially if you have something that can be popular. Oh fuck!
Are you okay, boss?
My cat jumped down and it hit the wire on my headset and it caused everything to tilt and like my head went with it.
It
Yeah.
just reminds me of those people that stand up at their desk and still have their headset on,
Oh
and
yeah.
they take a couple steps and go.
Yep. Yeah, that's essentially what happened. Um, that's gonna be fun to edit out. So
You should just fucking keep it.
yeah.
Well, I guess there's one thing that we have to talk about briefly, because it is Kentucky, and you have to talk about bourbon. Now, we've already talked about bourbon in a different episode, so if you want to learn more about that, you can certainly go down that way. But the first thing or precursor to bourbon is the moonshine, and Kentuckians have been doing that for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Even before, during, and after Prohibition. So it was made illegally. Now there's a lot of places that will do it legally. Um, and then essentially, if you want to turn that into bourbon, you wind up taking the clear liquid and you put it in those casks and let them age for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it's again, if you want to know more, you can certainly check out one of our other episodes. But um, they have a whole entire bourbon trail that has all of those places. So like makers, they have their own little distillery down there. Um, you know, obviously what is it? Four Hearts. There's a whole like road that you will drive on, and it's called the Bourbon Trail, and as you drive through, you actually get to see all these, on the road. And you can stop and everything. But what I find funny is that a lot of those distilleries um are in dry counties.
Yep.
Like it's something stupid. Like you can't go drink it, or they can't serve it to you, but they'll, sure, you can buy it from me.
Yeah, I don't know. That's part of where the Bible Belt gets a little weird.
Yeah.
So those of
uh
you who don't know what the Bible Belt is, consider yourself lucky. So,
but one of the where I'm going with this though is that when you get to the regular bourbon stuff, obviously the drink is the mint julep.
hmm
So have you ever had a mint julep before?
no, but I've done other drinks with mint, such as the Moscow mules and variations amongst that. And I believe it's a rather similar recipe, correct?
It's basically, sugar or simple syrup with some muddled mint.
Yep.
So close enough. I mean, depending on what bourbon you use, though, it could. I don't know. It's For me, it's usually a little bit on the sweeter side because of the sugar,
hmm
and then having the mint kind of like is a bite to take off that bourbon. But you can certainly get some of those basically year round. But if you're doing any derby stuff, you got to have your mint julep,
Yep.
and
I've
that's where you
heard
get them big ass hats, man.
I've heard that you can't bet on racehorses unless you have a big hat and a mint julep. I don't know if this is true, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
They won't let you. So now, I think there is something here that we should probably bring up. We had mentioned moonshine,
We did, yeah.
and a lot of people don't know the main difference between Everclear and moonshine. So, do you want to explain to them what it is?
I mean, Everclear and Moonshine, it's just depending on the grain build.
Whereas Everclear is made from grain, moonshine is made from corn.
Yes. But some of it's up to like 80 something percent of the bill has to have corn in it for it to be considered that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's something crazy high. You can throw grains in there and even rye,
Yeah.
but it's predominantly has to be made from corn.
Mm-hmm. So, and another thing is Everclear is a brand name of neutral tasting, very potent grain alcohol, whereas
Yeah,
moonshine is generally a term used to describe a legally produced corn whiskey. But I mean, let's be honest here.
or or the base to bourbon. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
because that's the first thing that they make before they throw it in those oak casks.
Hmm.
So, but I don't know. They have a couple other things that's very popular. Obviously, you're going to be dealing with bourbon, so people are going to sell that in a variety of different ways. Bourbon Balls is one of the hot sellers around the holiday. I know the last time that I went up that way, it was actually no, the time before that, it was around Christmas time, and they had a big ass store just filled with chocolate that had bourbon balls and like bourbon flavored chocolates and dude, it was awesome. They tasted great.
Oh yeah.
So if you know people that enjoy bourbon and enjoy chocolate, get them some bourbon balls around the holidays, and they'll combine the best of both worlds. Get all
Hmm.
fuckered up while you're getting fat.
Oh yeah. Dude, that makes me. It's not the same thing, but that makes me want some like banana rum bread.
Yeah, I can go for
So
that.
I think while we're on a sweet tooth here, I think we need to mention another something that kind of goes with this. That'd be the Derby pie.
Yeah, what is in the Derby pie?
1 second here. I actually thought I had the home of the Derby pie set up, which turns looks like it came from Kern's Kitchen, but I don't have a story of how they got the Derby pie. But what the Derby
Okay.
pie is a chocolate and walnut tart and a pie shell with a pastry dough crust. Commonly made with walnuts and chocolate chips. The pie was created in Melrose Inn of Prospect, Kentucky, United States by Georgia Kern with the help of his parents, Walter and Leandra, and is often associated with the Kentucky Derby. Um, Created in 1950, name Derby pie was chosen because of the various family members each had a different name of the creation. So to resolve the naming quandary, they put various names in a hat and pulled out the paper which said Derby pie. The Derby pie is actually a registered trademark of Kern's Kitchen, which was registered in 1968. Company uses the name in the form of capital DERBY-PIE in official literature and advertisement. The recipe is kept secret, only known to a small group of Kern family members and a single Kern Kitchen employee who's actually mixes the recipe to this day. They diligently guard their trademark and has filed more than 25 lawsuits to protect it over the years. Makers of similar pies had to use different names such as Pegasus pie, which is a reference to the Pegasus parade at the Kentucky Derby Festival, and Mayday pie, reference to the first Saturday in May of the Kentucky Derby. So, a little bit of history there. Um, Apparently, there's been several lawsuits in regards to their trademark from people trying to get their recipe and stuff, which is kind of an interesting thing. But it looks like just a really good chocolate pie with some walnuts mixed in with it and served with some whipped cream.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Imagine being the one that has the recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are the sole proprietor of this special recipe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, if you die, we ain't gonna be able to sell this shit no more.
Right. So apparently, Um, there's a similar taste to a pecan pie, whereas some people in Kentucky will make a pecan pie with bourbon to sweeten
Okay.
their filling. Um, they'll put like the hard nut pecans on top and a pastry crust. But the current recipe is apparently made without bourbon and it uses walnuts instead. So, little something to be aware of, I guess, should you offer for a pecan or a derby pie.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I found something that's similar that apparently is really popular, and it's they use it for breakfast, but I guess depending on what you throw it on, you can use it for dessert. But it's called sorghum. And it's basically like molasses. And
Mm-hmm.
they put that over like pancakes, or they put it over waffles, or they put them in cookies. Um, and it's like similar to molasses, I guess, with that consistency, but it looks like syrup. So
Interesting.
yeah, so they I guess they mashed it with some apples and some butter, and they put that on some pancakes. Like I would totally go for that. I love pancakes and waffles and stuff with syrup on it. So I can see like putting some apples and some butter on that, and then just mashing it in to have your pancakes.
Hmm.
But sorghum is something for breakfast or dessert, depending on what you're going for.
Hmm.
So I've heard of it before, but um I've never like eaten just, hey, this is sorghum and you're putting it on your potatoes or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of sorghum before, so
Yeah, well, apparently it's super popular in Kentucky and that they use it for a lot of different things.
hmm.
So
I wonder if it's for toothache medicine.
it might be.
So, yeah, I would. Let me see if I can pull up an image of this sorghum.
Yeah, it's Sorghum.
Thank you, because I didn't want to spell that wrong and be cursed by Google. Hmm. So it's apparently a plant in the grass family, and you can make beer from it.
That doesn't surprise me. I feel like you can make alcohol with any type of grain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that it's going to taste good, but I think you can do it.
Yeah. Apparently, the most popular beer made from sorghum is a beer known as Barge Beer.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
Let me see if we can pick up anything like that. The original sorghum malt beer makes Barge Beer the original great tasting gluten free beer. Um, like gluten reduced. Okay. I gotta say, when the alcoholic websites are very unintuitive to navigate, it makes me not want to try your beer.
Just tell me what's on tap, right?
Right, and I can't even pull up an on tap menu. But there, it's literally only bards. It looks like the only thing that they make. So,
Interesting.
so either that sells really well or it sells just enough to keep the lights on.
I don't know, but speaking of beer, I kind of have to shout out to a couple of my favorite ones in at least Lexington.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since I went to some of them in Louisville, but the Lexington ones, first one I had to say is Mirror Twin. Who, if anybody listens to that or you're in Kentucky, 100% go to this brewery because you will have an awesome uh, selection. And one of my favorite beers that I had from them, it was called Wheezing the Juice, and it was a blueberry cobbler pie. And man, it came in those pints, and it was great. You cracked one of those bad boys open, and it came out looking like some type of blueberry jam,
Ooh.
purple bluish color, and it was like thick. Like you could actually taste the blueberry cobbler, And man, that I would recommend if you can find that beer. I don't know if they do it only seasonally, but 100% go to Mirror Twin.
Hmm.
And then they actually have a cidery too. It's called Weisberg Cider, and they have some awesome ass ciders there as well. You can get from flights all the way up to just buying bottles of it. Um, Definitely check that out. And there's a couple other ones that I like too. Ethereum and West Six, also great breweries. 100% recommend those as well.
So I haven't had many of the beers from Kentucky. Um, you know this. I have had some of their moonshine though.
Yeah.
um, but I had pulled up something interesting on sorghum beer,
Okay.
and so it's almost like a sour and fruity beer. In some cases, it's mixed with rice, such as the New Grist from Wisconsin Lake Brewery. A few, like greens from Belgium, add buckwheat to the recipe, but apparently the sorghum beer is most popular in Africa, where it's a drink for the Zulu people.
Hmm.
Um, and if I looked up African sorghum beer, it's a brownish pink beverage with a slightly tangy and sour taste. Has a varying alcohol content that can vary between 1 and 8%. It has a very cloudy appearance and is traditionally consumed at rare room temperature. So, kind of weird that we're in Kentucky, but we found something that is super popular in Africa.
Yeah.
But maybe there's just a higher rate of sorghum being harvested in Africa, and that's why.
I'd probably say that's true.
Yeah. So, but you know what goes good with a little bit of drinking?
Food.
Some food, some good food. So, we're going to talk about a culinary icon from Louisville here with a very underwhelming name. So, with so much to boast about Louisville here, award-winning dining, breathtaking turn of the century architecture, a tentative carrying system. Some may wonder, why did you name this popular dish the hot brown?
That immediately just sounds like shit, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
the hot brown.
Yeah. Well, here's the history of this now critically acclaimed dish. In 1920s, the Brown Hotel drew over 1,200 guests each evening for its dinner dance. By the wee hours of the morning, as everybody knows, after you've been turning up at the club for a while, guests would grow weary of dancing and make their way to the restaurant for a bite to eat. Sensing their desire for something more glamorous than the traditional ham and eggs, Chef Fred Schmidt set out to create something new to tempt his guests' palates. His unique dish, an open-faced turkey sandwich with bacon and a delicate Mornay sauce, the hot brown was born.
Oh,
Available in restaurants and bar through in-room dining, the hot brown continues to exemplify our unending dedication to serving our guests. Such culinary prowess and commitment, of course, doesn't go unnoticed. The hot brown, a Louisville tradition with worldwide appeal, has been featured in Southern Living, the Los Angeles Times, NBC Today's Show, ABC News with Diane Sawyer, Travel Channel's Man vs. Food, The Wall Street Journal, and many other entries in the world's finest cookbooks. Um, it's actually super simple. Your ingredients: you need 2 ounces of whole butter, 2 ounces of all-purpose flour, 8 ounces of heavy cream, 8 ounces of milk, half a cup of Peranco Romano cheese, plus 1 tablespoon for garnish, pinch of ground nutmeg, salt and pepper to taste, 14 ounces of sliced roasted turkey breast, sliced thick, 4 slices of Texas toast, trim the crust, 4 slices of crispy bacon, 2 Roma tomatoes sliced in half, paprika, and parsley. And I'll tell you what, as somebody who likes sandwiches, this looks respectable. This looks respectable.
Yeah, the hot brown. It looks good. I think the bacon would kind of pull all that stuff together.
Mm-hmm. And so what we're gonna do here, for those of you watching on YouTube, we're going to do a screen share and show you what this hot brown looks like. And you can see you got like your sauce here, you got your lovely Texas toast, a little bit of bacon on top. You can use some more bacon, in my opinion. You got your turkey, and you got your lovely tomatoes. And I think that just looks good as hell.
Yeah, that sounds like some hangover food right there.
Oh yeah, like there's a reason why people once they're out drinking and dancing all night, they want some greasy goodness, and that chef knew what to give the people. So kudos to you, chef.
100%.
Mm-hmm. So, and then I think what we can do is we can end up on our last bar food that we have tonight, which is super popular in Kentucky. Unless you have something else.
No, I didn't have anything else.
All
What's the
right.
last bar food?
The rolled oyster. It's a baseball-sized seafood dish that is found only in and around Louisville, Kentucky. Consists of 3 raw oysters dipped in egg milk, cornmeal batter, called, I'm not even sure how to pronounce that. It's Pastinga, pastanga.
Yeah, we'll just go with it, man.
Yeah, rolled in cracker crumbs, hence the name for rolled, and deep fried. They were first served by an Italian immigrant named Philip Mazzani and his brothers in the late 19th century as a free giveaway to their salon patrons with a purchase of a beer or whiskey. It was unknown if the oysters were actually invented by the Mazzanis or if the recipe was brought over from Italy with them. But during Prohibition, Mazzani's remained open by selling these oysters in their new restaurant, and it became a popular food item all over the town. Today, most seafood restaurants and fish fries in Louisville area will have their own version of these on their menu. And I will say, for somebody who doesn't generally like oysters, this doesn't look too bad.
I mean, it doesn't sound bad.
Right. Granted, deep frying will take away most of the bad in life. Like, if something you have tastes bad, just try deep frying it. You'll be okay. Like, this right here almost looks like fried Twinkies. Like, let me see if I can screen share this. All right, like, okay, my fat ass would think that that's a weird thing to have lemon and some cabbage next to 4 fried Twinkies. But, you do you. Um, Here's like a bite taken out of one. It almost reminds me like of a cordon bleu, you know.
I could see that.
Yeah, you have the funny oyster chips, which I don't know why there's so many on a plate like that, but you do you. Um, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't look terrible. So, and that's coming from somebody who's not a big oyster fan.
You'd give it a try.
Oh yeah, yeah, I would. So, because like I don't mind shellfish. Like I love me some shrimp. I love me some lobster. I love me some crayfish. Oh, I love me some crayfish. But people who eat raw oysters, they're just a different breed compared to what I am, and that's not for me. But I'm telling you what, if you deep fry it, we can talk.
I mean, you could basically deep fry anything.
It's true.
It just makes it that much better.
Yeah, dude, like deep fried ice cream. Why not? So, well, bud, you got anything else for Kentucky?
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
Nope, I think
Oh,
we're good.
I think we should mention is no, I think Jack Daniels is Tennessee whiskey.
Yeah, that's Tennessee.
Yeah, so we'll get to Jack Daniels when we need to.
Yep.
But yeah, Kentucky, stay safe. Keep making good quality meth and moonshine. And you know what? I gotta say it. You didn't disappoint me as much as Kansas did, and that's something.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, all right,
Well,
foodies.
yeah, foodies. Uh, Stay tuned for our next journey into
Mhm.
the United States. And this is Professor Porkloin. I'm with my co-host,
The Meat Viking.
and we are signing off for Kentucky.
And don't forget, today's safe word was T Rex. Later.